Alright, in this video I'm going to answer your questions about my time and my experiences here in Malaysia. But before we start with that, there's something I would like to tell you about. Yeah, after spending in total over 1 year of my life in Malaysia, after visiting every state of the country, I wrote a Malaysia travel guide ebook. If you plan a trip to Malaysia and you feel overwhelmed with questions like how to get the best hotel deals, how to get around the country, where to go, which places are worth visiting, how much does it cost, or if you live in Malaysia already and you would like to get to know the country even better, then this book might be quite helpful for you. The book has almost 100 pages full with useful information, travel tips, suggested routes, a detailed cost breakdown, and the core of the book is my collection of over 200 Google Maps links to locations all over Malaysia, every hotel that I can recommend, every restaurant, viewpoints, hidden gems, markets, car rental places, and so on. You can find the book by clicking the link in the pinned comment or in the description down below. And for the first 7 days starting from now when this video is online, there will be a 25% discount on the book. You can get the discount by using the code FIRSTWEEK. So I would be really happy if you have a look at this book, and by buying this book you not only get yourself a really useful travel guide for Malaysia, you also highly support my channel. Every dollar that I will earn with this ebook will be 100% reinvested into the channel. Thanks a lot guys, and now let's start with the Q&A. Alright, so I have all the questions now in front of me on my laptop. Let's start right away. First question from Cha. First and foremost, a big congratulations for achieving the 100k goal. Thank you very much for that, by the way. And the question is, as you have stayed in Malaysia for quite a long period, would you consider the country to be your second home in the future? And actually, I got this question a lot. So could I imagine to settle down in Malaysia? Yes, I could. In specific, I could imagine to live in Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur is probably the city that, or definitely the city that I would choose. It's a big, huge mega city. You have everything there. There's so much different food available. You have huge malls. There are a lot of things to do. So I would choose Kuala Lumpur to settle down in Malaysia. Do I see myself settling down here? To be honest, not really. The thing is, not because I don't like Malaysia to settle down or I don't like Kuala Lumpur enough to settle down. It's just that there's one city that I prefer, and that is Bangkok. Bangkok is my favorite city in the world, and I think in a few years, once I am done with traveling full-time the whole time, I can see myself settling down in Bangkok. But if there wouldn't be a Bangkok, then yes, I could imagine to settle down in Kuala Lumpur. And then the question number 2 from Sandra Ko. Really enjoy your travel adventures. Was wondering how much you'd roughly usually budget for travel, stay and food per destination in Malaysia. Yeah, let's talk about my budget. Maybe that's interesting for some of you if you're planning to travel in Malaysia as well. So my current budget is $1,500 per month. And that is including everything like accommodation, food, transportation around the country, taking flights here and there, travel insurance, so everything $1,500. And I have to say that budget is really a good budget for traveling in Malaysia. That allows you to stay in really nice hotels, actually, to not only eat street food, I also eat in malls here and there. I order a lot of food, which is usually a bit more expensive than going out. Actually, most of the month I stay below that budget, so like 1,200, 1,300, around that. Of course, you can spend way more in Malaysia if you want to stay only in luxurious 5-star hotels, or every hotel needs to be on the beach, then I would budget a little bit above that. And of course, you can also travel cheaper in Malaysia. Like if you come to Malaysia as a budget traveler, as a backpacker maybe, you can also relatively easy travel for $1,000 or less in Malaysia. The same, for example, in Thailand, where that's also the case, where you can do that. But yeah, my personal budget at the moment is $1,500, and yeah, most of the month I actually stay below that budget. Then the question number 3 from Christina Hasrin. Congratulations for 100k. Thanks once again. My question is, which state in Malaysia has been your favorite so far? And that is also a question that I really got a lot. And yeah, I have seen every state in Malaysia. And yeah, my favorite state or my favorite place in Malaysia, I think, as I mentioned before, is Kuala Lumpur. Because yeah, the huge mega city. I'm a fan of big cities. So I really like Kuala Lumpur. But okay, let me think about a place outside of KL. My favorite state, probably I would choose Penang Island, I have to say. Georgetown is a really cool place as well. Big city, diverse, lots of food available. You also have nice beaches around Penang, especially Batu Ferringhi in North Penang. So I think after KL, I would probably choose Penang Island. And let me mention another one now. I think also the Kedah state was really nice. So in northern Malaysia, really green paddy fields. Yeah, KL, Penang Island and Kedah. And then a question from the Broad Delonge. What is the thing that you expect of Malaysia but didn't meet? And the thing that you never expect but actually surprised to see or experience? First of all, there is not really something that I thought, oh, this is going to be in Malaysia or Malaysia is going to be like that. And then it wasn't like that. To be honest, when I came to Malaysia for the first time in 2020, I came here with basically zero expectations. I remember it was a pretty spontaneous decision to come to Malaysia. And the plan was to just spend maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks maximum in Malaysia. And then, yeah, you know the story. I ended up staying almost a year because of COVID back then. But one thing that I never expected, but that actually surprised me, Malaysia to be such an English-speaking country. I never thought about that before coming to Malaysia. Well, it actually really surprised me that there is a country in Southeast Asia where 99% of the people speak English, at least enough to have a basic conversation. And maybe a second thing as well, I didn't expect such a huge cultural diversity in Malaysia. So you have so many different ethnicities here. You have the Malay community, Chinese communities, Indian communities, a lot of Westerners living here as well as expats. So I didn't expect that as well before I came to Malaysia. And then his second question is also actually a really good question. How do you see the difference between Sarawak and other states in Malaysia? So yeah, I have recently also been to Sarawak and Sabah, the 2 states in Borneo, Malaysia and East Malaysia. And it is a little bit different over there. It feels almost like a different country. Overall, of course, it is still Malaysia. So overall, it's still, yeah, people speak the same language, of course. You have the same menus in the restaurants. So overall, I would say, yeah, it is still Malaysia, but there are quite a few differences that you notice actually. So one thing that I, for example, really noticed is the different ethnicities seem to mingle more together over there. For example, to give you some examples, I remember a few situations where I was, for example, in a Chinese food court and there were Chinese people drinking beer on one table, and on the table right next to it, there was a Malay Muslim family with their children. Something that I think I never saw here in Peninsular Malaysia. And what I also saw quite a few times, for example, that Muslims working in a Chinese restaurant, for example, like a Chinese noodle shop with Muslim workers. Also something that I think I never saw here in Peninsular Malaysia. But maybe that's just my personal experience. Maybe that's like you can't really stereotype that, but yeah, from my impression at least, it's that the different ethnicities mingle more together. And then yeah, another difference, the majority of people over there is not Muslim. Actually in Sarawak, for example, I saw more churches than mosques. So that is also something that I notice is different over there. But yeah, overall, it is still Malaysia and you feel that. But it is an interesting part of Malaysia. So I recommend everyone, if you come to Malaysia and you want to see a little bit different Malaysia than Peninsular Malaysia, also travel over to Borneo. And then another question from Ritz. Any advice to anyone who wants to start traveling alone? Solo traveling tips. Actually, I'm thinking about doing a whole video about solo traveling tips because yeah, I've been traveling solo for 3 years now. Most of the times I am solo. Sometimes you also see me with other travelers or with other people. But yeah, the number one tip that I can give you is don't be afraid to be alone. First of all, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. Like, I am alone because nobody is here with me, but I am not lonely. I think all of us, we have this item right here, we have a phone, so it's relatively easy to stay in contact with your friends or your family. So I'm chatting almost every day with friends and family. You can video call people, so I don't really feel lonely. But of course, when you travel alone, that's something that you maybe need to get used to. You need to get used to go out on your own, explore around on your own, go to restaurants on your own. And yeah, it can feel a little bit weird when you do it for the first time, but I can guarantee you, you will get used to it. It sounds so simple and weird maybe now, but just do it. If you go to a restaurant by yourself, the first time it's gonna feel weird, the second time maybe as well, and then it starts feeling normal, and after a while, you totally don't care about it at all anymore. Like, nobody in the restaurant will look at you weird because you sit there alone. If you go to a mall by yourself, nobody will even notice that you are alone. The people don't care about other people. If you go to tourist attractions on your own, like for example the Batu Caves here in Malaysia, people don't care about you. Nobody will look at you and say, "Oh, look at this dude, he's alone there." Really, people don't care. And even if they do, so what? You will never see these people again. So don't be afraid to be somewhere alone. And I can guarantee you it's also nice to travel alone sometimes, because you are totally free in all your decisions. You can go wherever you want. You don't have to make plans with anyone else. Like when you're traveling with a group of 5 people, then you have to say, "Oh, I want to do this." And the other person wants to go there, and this person wants to go there. If you're alone, you are your own boss. I wake up every morning and I can do whatever I want, and that is a great feeling as well. But of course, it can also be nice to travel with friends, to share experiences together. Nothing wrong with that, not at all. But in my situation, it was just like none of my friends is able to travel full time with me. None of my friends really wants to do that, so I had 2 options: to either stay at home because nobody else wants to travel with me, or to go out on my own. And I can guarantee you 100% I don't regret starting traveling on my own. So, long story, short meaning. Do you say that in English? In Germany we say that. If you really want to start traveling alone, just go for it. And I guarantee you, you will get used to it. Then a question from Drain. If you had to recommend an itinerary for a 2-month trip, what would it be? So I guess he's talking about Malaysia in this case. So a 2-month itinerary for Malaysia. 2 months is actually a lot of time. So I would suggest, if you are up for an adventure, you have 2 months of time, travel all around Peninsular Malaysia. I think 2 months is enough of time to do that. It's basically the trip that I did in 2020. So you can start in Kuala Lumpur, take a train to Ipoh, then from Ipoh you can go to Penang, then take a ferry to Langkawi Island, then go back to the mainland, check out Perlis, a beautiful state, then go south to the Kedah state, and then you can take a bus from Butterworth over to the east coast to Kota Baru. That's like a 6-7 hour bus ride through beautiful mountain areas. Travel down the east coast, Kota Baru, Kuala Terengganu, Kuantan, then go from Kuantan to Johor Bahru to Melaka, and Melaka back to Kuala Lumpur. Then you have been all around Peninsular Malaysia, and that would be my recommendation. And by the way, in my travel guide ebook, there are also 3 different itineraries that I suggest. The first one for a 2 weeks trip, for a 1 month trip, and for a 3 months trip. So that's also included in the book. Then a question from Abdul Sana. What makes you return to Malaysia? Is it because of climate, hospitality, security, culture, affordable foods, or else? Yeah, what makes me coming back to Malaysia? I really love Malaysia. If you saw one of my previous episodes or videos where I talked about the 7 things that I absolutely love about Malaysia, in that video I summarized it pretty well, all the things that I love about Malaysia. For example, the hospitality here, the cultural diversity, the food, and yeah, all the things that you mentioned in your question here. So yeah, I will also keep coming back to Malaysia in the future, 100%. And then a question from Ira Faith Clement. I always want to know the price of products or food from Thailand and Malaysia. Which is more expensive? Watching your vlogs from the Philippines. Greetings to the Philippines. I'm gonna visit your country later on this year as well. And yeah, let's compare the prices between Thailand and Malaysia. So I have spent in total over 1 year of my life in Thailand. I have spent over 1 year of my life in Malaysia. So I think I can compare these countries quite well. And I think overall, the prices of, let's say, like things like food, transportation, accommodation in Thailand and in Malaysia are very, very similar. So in Thailand, I could also travel with the same budget that I use in Malaysia, between $1,000 and $1,500. So you get the same value for accommodation. You have really decent hotels here in Malaysia. You have really decent hotels in Thailand, all around the country. The food that you can buy, like, let's say, everyday normal life food. In Thailand, obviously, you have a lot of street food, which you can get for like a decent meal for like 50 baht, which is, I think that should be like, let me check really quick, like 7-8 ringgit. So 50 Thai baht is 6 ringgit and 25. And in Malaysia also, if you go to a local restaurant, like a Chinese noodle shop or a mamak restaurant, an Indian restaurant, a local Malay shop, you can get a decent meal as well for 6-7 ringgit. So the food prices are pretty comparable. I really say overall, Thailand and Malaysia are very comparable when it comes to the prices of living there and the prices of traveling. Then Yasmin Shazad. Which places are a must to visit in Kuala Lumpur and around? Which island or beach would you recommend, please? Must visit places in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, so obviously, if this is your first time coming to KL, you need to go to the Petronas Towers. Wonderful place in Malaysia. I really like the atmosphere around there, especially in the evenings. Also, the park behind the towers is beautiful. Then the Petaling Street, Chinatown. But don't just go to the main road where all the tourists just go through. Explore some back alleys in Chinatown. I did a video about the back alleys in Chinatown in 2020. And if you go a little bit into the hidden alleys, you can find some really nice restaurants there, which I think most tourists don't see. So that would be my recommendation. And then the question said KL and around. So around KL, I would recommend Sikhinchan, which is a small town on the ocean. Lovely small town, beautiful vibes there. They have beautiful paddy fields all around. My recommendation is rent a bicycle, which you can do there, and drive around the paddy fields for sunset time. Very beautiful. So Sikhinchan is like an hour and a half drive from Kuala Lumpur. Batu Caves, also a little bit outside of Kuala Lumpur. If it's your first time in Kuala Lumpur, overall, you can spend at least a week in Kuala Lumpur and it will not get boring. There are many places to check out. And then we also have a few questions from Instagram. What do you dislike most about Malaysia? From Sitira Sisa Ramza. By the way, excuse me if I mispronounce every names in the video here. What do I dislike about Malaysia? First of all, there's not really something that I really dislike or hate about Malaysia. But to give you one example now, what is sometimes a bit annoying in Malaysia are these super loud motorbikes. I don't know why people do that, but sometimes there are people on these I think they tune the motorbikes and they get really, really loud. And I don't understand why somebody likes to do that. They actually do that a lot as well in Thailand. But yeah, that is something that is sometimes a little bit annoying here, when there are a lot of these super loud motorbikes. And then Jevin99, what is your favorite Malaysian food? And I think I talked about that a lot in previous videos as well, but yeah, to mention it once again here as well, my 3 favorite dishes in Malaysia are char kway teow, which is a rice noodle dish that you can get all around Malaysia. It's one of the staple dishes here, I would say, and that was always one of my favorites all around Malaysia. Then the second favorite food is kacang pool, which is a bean stew dish that is special for the Johor state in southern Malaysia, but it is also possible to get it in other states. Really delicious dish. And then on the third place, I would say roti canai salang burung, which translates to bird nest roti canai, a special type of roti canai where they add minced meat and an egg on top. Really delicious. So these are my 3 favorite dishes in Malaysia that I will also miss once I leave Malaysia. And then Nick Nura Malina, will you come back to Malaysia again? And yes, 100% I will come back to Malaysia. I love Malaysia. Sometime next year, maybe for Ramadan or for Chinese New Year. So yeah, 100% Malaysia. I'll be back. So excuse me if I haven't answered your question. I got over 150 questions in total, so I can't answer all the questions. But thanks a lot for sending all the questions. Thanks a lot for all your congratulations on reaching 100k. And yeah, don't forget to check out my Malaysia travel guide. The link is down below. And if you haven't seen the video where I talk about the 7 things that I absolutely love about Malaysia, check out the video right here. Stay healthy, stay positive, and then see you on the next episode. Ciao, guys.